Ask most people what the Maritimes are known for, and you'll probably hear lobster, fog, and fiddle music. But this small corner of Atlantic Canada, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island quietly built a surprising number of foods that spread across the country, and in a few cases, the world. 11 foods, invented right here, prove there's a lot more to the Maritimes' food story than seafood, shaped by waves of Acadian, British, Scottish, and German settlement layered on top of one of the harshest, most resourceful food cultures in the country. The Donair. Invented in 1973 by Peter Gamoulikos, a Greek immigrant living in Halifax, Nova Scotia, the Donair started as an attempt to adapt the traditional Greek gyro for local Canadian tastes, which at the time weren't especially receptive to the tangy, garlic-heavy flavor of authentic Mediterranean street food. Gamoulikos reworked the recipe using spiced ground beef and, most importantly, invented an entirely new sauce, a sweet, condensed milk-based sauce unlike anything found in traditional Greek or Turkish cooking, specifically to appeal to Canadian palates. That sauce is what actually separates the Donair from every other Donair-style dish worldwide, and it became so central to Halifax's identity that the city officially declared the Donair its symbolic food in 2015, following a formal push from a city councillor who argued that unlike lobster, which countless coastal cities can claim, the Donair was something invented specifically in Halifax and belonged to no one else. Gamoulikos went on to open King of Donair, widely recognized as the world's first dedicated Donair restaurant, still serving customers in Halifax today, nearly half a century later, and the dish has since spread into regional variations across the country. New Brunswick versions commonly add lettuce, while Alberta's take on the Donair sometimes includes cheese and pepperoni. Ganong chocolate bars. Founded in St. Stephen, New Brunswick, Ganong Bros is recognized as Canada's oldest candy company, and the family behind it is credited with inventing the modern wrapped chocolate bar format. According to company history, in 1910, Arthur Ganong and his fishing companion George Ensor packed loose chocolate chunks for a fishing trip, only to watch them melt into a ruined mess in their pockets over the course of the day. For their next trip, they had the chocolate individually wrapped in cellophane first, creating what's widely credited as the first individually wrapped chocolate bar, a packaging innovation that reshaped how candy was sold worldwide, moving the industry away from loose, bulk confectionery toward the individually portioned format still standard today. Ganong went on to create several other enduring Canadian candy staples, including Palomine, a peanut and fudge bar still produced today using essentially the same recipe and cellophane wrapping approach from over a century ago, and Chicken Bones, a distinctive pink cinnamon hard candy with a chocolate center that remains one of the company's signature products more than a century later. St. Stephen still hosts an annual chocolate festival celebrating the company's legacy, and the original factory remains operational in the same small border town where it all started. Covered bridge potato chips. Produced in Heartland, New Brunswick, home to the longest covered bridge in the world, Covered Bridge built its identity around small-batch, kettle-cooked chips using potatoes grown in the surrounding St. John River Valley, one of the most significant potato-growing regions in the country. The brand became particularly well known for regionally specific flavors that don't exist anywhere else, including lobster and Donair-flavored chips, direct nods to maritime food culture layered onto a snack format, turning two of the region's other food exports into a third one entirely. The company also popularized storm chips, a flavor and marketing concept that grew into a genuine regional cultural phenomenon, Maritimers stocking up on chips specifically ahead of major storms, a habit that became such a widely recognized local meme that it's now a defining piece of Atlantic Canadian internet culture, referenced constantly on social media every time a major storm approaches the East Coast, turning a snack food purchase into a shared regional ritual. McCain frozen French fries. Founded in Florenceville, New Brunswick in 1957, McCain Foods grew from a single regional operation into the largest producer of frozen French fries on the planet, supplying roughly one-third of the world's frozen fry supply today. Florenceville has since branded itself the French fry capital of the world, a title that reflects just how completely one small New Brunswick town came to dominate a specific corner of global food production, an unusually large global footprint for a town most Canadians outside the Maritimes couldn't locate on a map. McCain's success is a genuine agricultural and industrial story, built directly on the St. John River Valley's ideal potato-growing conditions, transforming a regional farming advantage into one of the largest privately held food companies in the world, still headquartered in the same small town where it began, and still deeply tied to the surrounding potato farms that supply it. An unbroken link between the company's original local resource base and its current global scale. Lady Ashburnham Pickles. A distinctly maritime condiment, this sweet mustard relish traces its roots to Fredericton, New Brunswick, and remains a specific regional favorite rarely found outside Atlantic Canada. Unlike more universally recognized pickle styles, Lady Ashburnham pickles reflect a specifically local preserving tradition, sweet, tangy, and mustard-forward, developed to complement the Maritimes' heavy reliance on preserved and pickled foods through long winters, when fresh produce simply wasn't available for months at a time. The recipe has been passed down through generations of Fredericton households, largely through home canning rather than commercial mass production, giving it a distinctly homemade, community recipe identity that stayed remarkably consistent compared to more commercialized regional condiments elsewhere in the country. Fricot, an Acadian chicken and dumpling stew. Fricot, developed within New Brunswick's Acadian communities, French-speaking descendants of early French settlers in the region, and remains one of the most distinctly Acadian dishes still regularly cooked today. Built around simple, accessible ingredients, potatoes, onions, chicken, or sometimes salted meat, and dumplings, Fricot reflects the practical, resourceful cooking style that defined Acadian food culture for generations, built to stretch modest ingredients into a filling, warming meal during hard winters. Fricot's continued popularity within Acadian communities across the Maritimes represents one of the clearest surviving culinary threads connecting the region's modern food culture directly back to its earliest French colonial roots, predating Canadian Confederation entirely, and it remains a staple at Acadian community gatherings and family kitchens today, largely unchanged from its earliest documented versions. Rappie Pie, another Acadian specialty. Rappie pie is made from grated potatoes, with nearly all their starch and liquid removed, then combined with meat, traditionally chicken or rabbit, and baked into a dense, distinctive casserole. The dish's name comes from the French râpé, meaning grated, referencing the labor-intensive potato preparation process that defines it, a technique requiring hours of squeezing liquid from grated potatoes by hand before the dish can even be assembled. Rappie pie remains a genuine culinary marker of Acadian identity across Nova Scotia and New Brunswick's French-speaking communities, a dish that requires enough specific technique and effort that it's rarely made outside those communities, keeping it distinctly regional even within Canada itself. And community Rappie pie suppers remain a genuine social institution in Acadian towns, drawing large crowds specifically for the dish. Solomon Gundy, a pickled herring dish popular across Nova Scotia. Solomon Gundy reflects the region's British and Scottish settlement history, adapted specifically to the Maritimes' abundant herring fishery. Served cold, typically with onions and a vinegar-based pickling brine, it represents a preservation tradition that made sense in a coastal region with a short growing season but an enormous, reliable supply of fish, turning what could have been a wasted surplus catch into a shelf-stable staple. The dish's unusual name is believed to derive from salmagundi, an Old English term for a mixed, seasoned dish, evolving over generations of regional pronunciation into the distinctly Nova Scotian name it carries today, a small linguistic fingerprint of exactly how far removed the dish has become from its original British naming convention. Lunenburg Pudding, originating from the south shore of Nova Scotia, a region heavily settled by German immigrants in the 18th century, Lunenburg pudding is a pre-cooked sausage with a texture and flavor closer to pâté than a standard breakfast sausage. It reflects a direct culinary through-line from that specific German settlement history, a regional food that survived largely because Lunenburg's German-descended community maintained the tradition long after similar dishes disappeared elsewhere in North America. Still produced by small, family-run butchers in and around Lunenburg today, the pudding remains tied almost entirely to that specific pocket of Nova Scotia, rarely appearing on menus or grocery shelves even a short distance outside the South Shore region, making it one of the most hyper-localized foods on this entire list. Ployes, a buckwheat pancake originating from the Madawaska region of northwestern New Brunswick. Ployes reflect the area's French Acadian and Breton cultural heritage, distinct even from broader Acadian cuisine elsewhere in the province. Traditionally cooked on one side only, unlike a standard pancake, Ployes remain a specific regional staple, almost entirely unknown outside this particular corner of New Brunswick, tied closely to the region's historic buckwheat farming. The dish has become such a specific marker of Madawaska regional identity that it's celebrated with its own annual festival in the area, reinforcing just how tightly this single food item is bound to one small, culturally distinct pocket of the province, rather than the Maritimes as a whole. Raspberry cream cheese pie, a Prince Edward Island specialty, this pie became particularly associated with the PEI Preserve Company, reflecting the island's strong tradition of fruit preserving and baking. It represents PEI's food identity beyond its more internationally famous export, potatoes, showing a distinctly island-specific dessert tradition built around local berry harvests rather than the province's better-known agricultural output. The pie has become enough of a tourist draw on its own that visitors specifically seek it out at the Preserve Company's location in New Glasgow, PEI, turning a regional dessert recipe into a genuine culinary landmark for the island. Putting it together. So when people think of maritime food, if they think about it at all, they usually land on lobster and stop there. But the Maritimes produced far more than one famous export. It gave the world its first wrapped chocolate bar, an entire regional snack food industry built around distinctly local flavors, roughly a third of the planet's frozen French fries, and a completely original sandwich sauce invented by a Greek immigrant that became so specifically tied to one city that Halifax made it official. The Maritimes didn't just contribute to Canadian food culture. In several cases, it quietly built products that reached grocery store shelves and drive-through menus worldwide. Spread across small towns and fishing communities most people outside Atlantic Canada have never heard of, each one carrying a specific thread of Acadian, British, Scottish, or German settlement history, still visible in what people there eat today. If you want to see which province or city we investigate next, subscribe to the Savory Scroll, because every dish has a birthplace, and the Maritimes had more of them than anyone gives credit for.